At least one more at quorum. One said they weren't gonna be here.
We needed two more. We have to have four. Oh,
We
Jesse.
got Jesse. We'll unmute him if we have to.
You should be
You
fine.
don't need it.
Just show your badge.
Just show them your badge to let you out of the gates.
I know. I had no, well, I went through security and I was like, and they're like, no, put your stuff in. I was like,
Out of it.
yeah.
If you go through, they'll make you do it, but you can go through the little glass things. Just put your badge down there and it'll open it for you.
Huh. Good to know, sir.
You show you on the
Get out of here.
Okay, it's the same way you're gonna go out.
I will test it then.
Elbow and his hole.
I will do that.
How you doing, Art?
Let's think.
Yeah, today. I didn't play today. I did the yard work.
Oh, okay.
It
looks good.
10 days, my badge was delayed.
How we doing?
How are you? It sucked.
Hey, how we doing?
All right.
Oh, we're very.
So if it's leaking
Yeah,
that
you
much
have
fluid.
Okay.
Surprised they didn't call
Infection or something.
him to make, come get you. Since you went through security, they usually just don't let people go.
I think it was just because they knew I was confused when I had this and they're like, do you know where you're going? I was like, yeah, I do. They're like, okay,
He called.
just let me go.
Daughter on there and she just told him all she was concerned about is the bandage.
You guys have a good day.
And he did not need to have a wet bandage, so that she acted like she wasn't
We're
worried
very cut and dry.
about that issue other than the bandage thing.
Those guard shacks, if you just show them your badge, you don't have to get a ticket.
I just saw his hand.
Cup's right there. Come on, Robert.
Only one.
Yours.
It's a good thing you got here in time.
I guess.
Well, I've not heard from Martha or.
The group played this morning at Sim. I don't know if she was.
The inside scoop on
I was there.
She's on her way from Auburn.
Oh, she was playing.
in just a minute.
Good endorsement though, right?
She playing both.
She didn't play this
We were
morning.
one on the board.
We had a central,
Central links there.
yeah, we had a 36 hole yesterday and then the college did 18 and then the women's went off side central links. So
We got off late then,
You're still on our announcements.
sorry.
All right, Evan's more than part. Where you been? I haven't seen you in a while.
Oh, fine. It's just been.
So your goal is to break my record of 1 hour.
Not gonna.
Kevin? I had one of your hamburgers out of Auburn last week. Man, that was good.
They're going through a lot of them. It's not officially the new hamburger. That's just, they're doing that because he got that grill that Jesse bought him. They've been cooking 24 to 48 burgers a day and blowing through them.
Man,
That's good though.
That and that warmer thing that they have now, that
Brought that over from Pack.
it is. It's quick. I mean, just go in there, grab it and go.
We were just in the back, nobody would order. They walk up and they're like, oh, I'll take a burger. Get in front of people.
Well, you think if you order, it's gonna take a while. Most of the time you're trying to get.
Not the new ones.
Yeah, we don't know that. I mean.
Make them in 2 minutes.
Really?
I made one today.
2 minutes?
2 minutes.
So it cooks from top and bottom, so you got. Yeah.
Wow. Double cooking. 400 degrees.
Awesome.
I sort of know what I'm doing. I'm quite convinced, Jesse.
Take it until you make it,
Every
right?
time I think you're on track, you do something off.
Now I became a construction supervisor. But I got a medal for it, so it's good.
All right.
Superintendent's gonna make it too?
No. Dalton to come just to, we're gonna let him introduce himself and go meet him, but
Which colleges play?
with everybody being,
I saw
especially after. everybody
Ottawa,
come back to
Newman,
school.
Friends, Garden City.
Probably next month we'll
And,
get more participation, but they're running ready.
It's all
Yeah.
free state.
Once the weather makes the full turn, then.
I think that's
It's
what.
the perfect time of year.
But, yeah, it's
Yeah,
anything.
during that 100-degree
Ottawa.
weather. So, yeah.
Day to practice Sundays.
So those are NAI. Was Newman there? Cause they're D2.
Yeah, Newman and Friends they're both D2, so I think they were just doing like a surrounding.
NAI.
They're NI, okay.
Sons up in Nebraska in the same league.
Okay. Which one's he at?
Guys.
Just of course, I'm picking a 400 and play like thin one in my hand.
Familiar
Oh,
with
yeah.
Nebraska County, I didn't know if that's them.
It's right down the road.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Britain's was a little bit tough.
Yeah, they did last week. Friends and Newman did a friendly out there. Kind of practice together.
Yeah.
Their friends, is where they normally play, but they've been out there a lot lately.
I heard that they were at Rolling Hills for a little bit, but I actually was talking to their coach and he was gonna go in.
It is that weird spot. It's like, it's 50 degrees and
Which
I'm
is,
just
it's
gonna
not
go
employment.
in my.
They work 2 days a week. Taylor that works for him, Newman.
Yeah.
Touch us, I want.
He's a good,
Yeah.
he's a good dude. So, yeah, I
They work 2 days a week. That covers your pro shop. They get to golf for free and hit balls anytime they want.
Play where you skip the ball across the lawn, 'cause it's
Yeah,
awesome.
so the next one played at Newman for 6 years.
That noise must be.
So that's what
That
that
really
really
only
has
has
coach
quarters,
came
I
up to
guess.
me and said, basically something echoes, like he's gonna talk to Scott and see if they could be course and trying to get another tournament out there and.
And can we employ?
It'll light off the ice, right?
A
Absolutely.
lot of them.
They bounce like a skid, right?
We have people during the summer. 'Cause he's-
Okay.
These other times.
Just realizing how few of the rules actually know.
Mm-hmm.
The energy retirees in December, 160 people.
Gracious for his presence.
All right.
Hey, Mike, if you want to
And
go ahead,
reception.
I think Marcia might be another big stand. Announcements.
Nice of you to swing by.
All right, let's all this meeting order.
Paradigm guys are always late. Country club attitude.
Not saying any outside interest here. I think we'll go to announcement.
All right. I've got a few. I want to start, I've asked our new superintendent from Auburn Hills, Dalton Meyer, to be here. Dalton, if you would, I was gonna have you just kind of step up and kind of give us a little about your background and let you guys get to meet Dalton and get to know each other.
So my name is Dalton, new superintendent out of Auburn. Came from Paradigm Country Club, born and raised in Wichita, but been 10 years in the golf course industry. So just trying to keep the ball rolling really. And we got some good things happening with the city courses. So, but yeah, my first job is being the head guy. So I've been an assistant for 6 years. So just trying to get my feet wet and learn the ropes. But other than that, yeah, it's been a good time so far and hopefully just keep the ball rolling.
Perfect. Yeah, Dalton, I mean, the golf side of stuff, I have no worries. He's getting acclimated to the government side of things like we've all worked through. So we're working with him to get that part down, but we're definitely very excited. I think we've done, rode around the course and looked at things, and the thing that I've probably been most excited about is his attention to detail. I mean, he's seeing all the little things that really, to me, separate a good golf course from a great golf course. And I'm looking forward to what you're going to do definitely over the next few years. So I don't know if you guys have any questions or anything for Dalton. Any comments?
I know, everything that I've seen so far has been very good. Cutting down a lot of native grass and getting the greens rolling good and stuff like that. I have nothing but positive so far.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. So hopefully we just keep the ball rolling and keep on doing what we do.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you,
Also,
Dalton.
have to know that Dalton's got a lot of expertise that he brings with him. He's got a really good communication channel with other superintendents around here and around the country. He's always been an aggressive type of a leader, so he comes from a course that I was at once that you were well aware of. He's had some excellent supervision during his training periods. Time to put it to work, and we appreciate you going with us.
Yes, absolutely. I think the familiarity of coming from a link style course and going to Auburn where it's a link style course is definitely a benefit, just knowing the agronomical background to it and what we can do and how to keep natives clean and all that stuff. So, but glad to be aboard and glad to be a part of it. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Dalton. The next thing I wanted to mention, if you didn't see or haven't heard, I went to city council today. We got the budget adjustment approved. So we added 70,000 to our regular budget. Our concession sales, we were running out of money for the food that we have to purchase to sell, which is a good thing because that means we're selling more. So we got that approved, and then the 500,000 to go towards projects. So basically what I'm looking to do, we already have 3 project funds in place. One is the cart replacement, which takes care of itself. The second is the equipment replacement, which we moved from $1 of every green fee to now $3 of every green fee goes into that to replace the equipment plus the $50 one time a year charge for all members in November. The third was the clubhouse renovations, which we are coming in under budget. We're closing in on the end of that project. And then the fourth kind of bucket that I want to create is a grounds project. So that way, basically anything we want to do is going to fit into one of those categories. So we have flexibility to have money there to use for projects instead of every time we decide to do something, we have to go through the 3-4 month process of getting to council and doing all that. So we have the 500,000. I'm going to work. I'll kind of get more into that, how I see that being used, and get your input as we go through one of the presentations in a minute. But everything was approved, so that's good. A couple of things today. He mentioned before we started that Auburn Hills hosted a college event the last 2 days. NAIA, where 6 schools there, 54 holes. And that's kind of a lead into a tournament, a conference championship we're going to host in the spring at Auburn Hills. So it's always good to have those kind of events, brings good recognition, and kind of solidifies the fact that we have a quality golf course. Couple of events that we have coming up on October 28th. We are hosting a United Way tournament at Tex, and that is the city does a kind of fundraiser through the month of October to raise money for United Way. So I've put this tournament together. It's not coming from the outside. We're doing it internally. We already have, I think, 23, 24 teams set up for that. So I think we'll get really close to a full field there with 36 teams. So if you have any interest, it'd be great if you could put a team together, or if you know anyone that want to play, that'd be great. And then all the proceeds go straight to United Way. And then on November 18th, I'm working on a Ladies' Day event at Auburn Hills. And what we're going to do, we're going to set up inside the clubhouse. We're going to have 18 different vendors set up throughout the clubhouse. Each vendor is going to represent hole 1, hole 2, hole 3, 18 holes. So when the ladies come in to participate in this event, they're going to get a scorecard. They go talk to that vendor. Every vendor is going to have basically a hat. You draw a number out of that. That's going to be your score for that hole. So you write it on there, and as you get done, you finish, you're going to have a scorecard. So it's going to be an indoor golf tournament. We'll have prizes for all that. We've got a fashion show as part of it, and the vendors are all over the place, from clothing to jewelry. We've got a winery. It's all across the board, all kind of different things. So it's just a day to kind of say thanks for all the ladies that participated in our courses, and we're getting a lot of good feedback. We just started really pushing that out, and we've already gotten a lot of good feedback. So I think it'll be packed, and that's November 18th. So at Auburn Hills. So yeah, that's all I got.
Do we have any other comments or announcements? Only thing I have is I have been still trying to get a meeting with Councilwoman Tuttle, been having a little trouble there since she got COVID, and we've had a little trouble communicating, getting together. So we will continue to try and meet with more of the candidates and the mayor and for the council persons. I did go to the mayor's at the Roxy, is that the name of the place? Yeah, I went to that meeting down there and I did meet Councilor Miss Wu, or Wu, I guess it is. And spoke to her about golf, and she seemed to be at that time pro golf. We'll see. I did call a radio program and speak to the mayor, and at that time he seemed to be pro golf and pro working for CIP money for our irrigation problems. We keep trying to get him more and more aware of it. I will be attending a few more meetings before November the 7th. And we will try to get more discussion with them. So I think it's crucial that we do try to have more contact individually with council people to get our statements out and what our agenda is and what we're trying to do. So
I did on that topic real quick. I think the candidates were at the Rotary Club meeting yesterday, from what I understand. I haven't seen this, but the topic of golf came up and I don't know what questions were asked, but I've been told that Mayor Whipple made the comment that the city has 99 problems and golf ain't one. So that's a good thing. So.
I look at that from the positive side, the fact that we're doing well and he's not throwing us under the bus. He's there to try to help us. So.
Did Wu, I remember a prior meeting mentioned she had backing regarding management.
I asked her that question specifically, and she said that she has her own views and that she is being backed by somewhat by the Citizens for Prosperity, but she discounted the fact that appeared in the paper that she was pro golf. So we shall see. Of course, that's all based on who becomes the mayor for the next 4 years. Not advocating for one or the other. I mean, we're advocating for the golfing community. So we'll leave that, and then again, we'll keep trying and see if we can arrange some meetings and get more one-on-one and be more informative of what we're trying to do. Any other comments?
Well, just that being said about having our voices heard and stuff, we go back to, I've asked about this several times about there was always supposed to be some type of direct communication between this group and the city council members. And I know we voted on making a recommendation on May the 16th. And still to this day, city council still hasn't heard about that in an official forum. Now, I know some of them have per phone calls because I've actually called them and told them. So I know per phone calls, some of them may have, but in an official forum, still no one has heard. So at some point in time, there has to be some way that we can get our voice out there, heard some kind of way. I don't know what it is. I honestly don't, but I think there has to be a way.
Yeah, okay, so I've provided information to staff about how to communicate recommendations to council. I don't, maybe that's happened or not. We have things like our minutes that are on council agendas as well, just like all other boards. There's sort of there's the two basic paths that we can communicate through council as this board. The first is that we provide input to staff like we did. And I think a good example is like the budget process, the things Jesse did today to communicate with council and get certain things approved. So communicating through that, through actions and recommendations here and input at meetings. We've provided information on how to communicate that information to staff. And I guess I'll follow up again on that. But as staff, we need to try to communicate with the city manager's office to get things on the agenda so that those are actually items and recommendations from the board. And again, talk to Park and Golf more about that. One thing we can do, and something that President Jordan's kind of been doing, it seems a little bit, is appoint a liaison member and that's something other boards have done effectively as an officer of this board, to take upon that responsibility of communicating and trying to set up meetings with council members and the mayor and have that as an official position. And also be able to speak at council meetings, I suppose, if recommended by this board or empowered by this board. So effectively a city council or mayoral liaison position that acts as an officer and does a lot of the things that you were kind of describing there before, Mike. But just acting officially on behalf of the board and then sort of setting up meetings with council members' offices, with the mayor's office, or like I mentioned, attending meetings and speaking on behalf of the board beyond the official things that golf is doing. So those are kind of the different sorts of ways we can do it. We don't have a liaison position set up necessarily yet, but that's, and everybody on the board, as is kind of happening, and I think you alluded to before, can reach out to council members and talk about things that's happening. What's a little different about this board is that you all weren't appointed by specific council members. So a lot of times you would talk to the council member that appointed you, and that's not exactly the case here, which is why it's a little harder maybe to get a meeting with council member Tuttle's office. I think if maybe we set up something a little more official, like a liaison position as well, potentially, maybe that will help sort of formalize things as a communication route.
Position.
What's that?
What will it take to set up a relation?
I think just a motion, honestly. I was looking at the bylaws before. I would consider it an officer position in that it's an official position, basically, not like president exactly, but it would be a position that's empowered by this board to do whatever it is we'd like to do. So I think we could frame it now to communicate with city council and the mayor's office or in the manager's office on behalf of the board as appropriate, or as designated by the board. I think that would only take a majority vote, I guess, to more simply and actually answer your question. Sorry.
Randy, what was the example you just gave? You said May 16th, whatever you said. What was
On May 16th, we made a motion. We recommended that the city council support the funding of the irrigation system with CIP money, CIP funding. And we did that at that point in time because we knew that in July and August, they're tightening down the CIP budget and they're locking it in. And so, yeah, we want to get in there and at least let them know that, hey, the golf division needs funding. And, I even wrote a letter to them and I told them, hey, this didn't happen on Jesse Kaufman's watch. These systems are 37 years old. This has happened over a long period of time, but it needs to be fixed,
So on that specific example, I'm not really trying to get on an agenda. I don't know. I'm not really.
Well, we can put things like recommendations from the board on the agenda. I kind of sent along notes how to do that. We can work on that process again. But it's basically contacting just the manager, and it's really just putting the line item that the board approved on the agenda. Now, in this case too, this is information that you've talked with, like this is also though, this is information like Jesse's talked with folks about too. Like this issue hasn't just been sitting otherwise as well. But I think in the future, we need to actually communicate that to the manager's office. So it's on the agenda. And like Randy's saying, the official recommendation is stated before council effectively. And park board does that sometimes as well. So we can do that. And we can figure that out a bit more after this meeting too, but that's the process to be able to do that. But then also if we want to otherwise bolster communication, I was just trying to think of some other ways to do that. And that's what the liaison kind of idea, and we don't even have to call it that, but that was what that position was for too.
I think
So as a secondary sort of, not direct answer to your question, right?
I think the communication I had regarding that topic was internal with staff, with the division, even up to the city manager, but not to council. That's where
Oh, and yeah, and
that's where it stops for me. So I wasn't sure. So
it's and we'll just, I'll set up, I guess we'll set up meetings. We'll get that more formalized right after this. But we will get those recommendations so they can get on the minutes better. Our meeting minutes, though, are processed the same way as other boards. So those are on what's like the consent agenda part of the council agenda.
Yeah, and the minutes is fine.
Yeah, even though that's not what you're saying. I know.
There's no way you can expect a city council member to have the
Yeah.
time and or the inclination to read all the minutes of all the city meetings. That's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
I mean, to me, that's a shot in the dark. There has to be some line of communication where we can say, hey, this board has voted on this unanimously, and this is our recommendation to the city council to support the golf bid.
And we will, yes, we will.
Interested in being the liaison?
No.
And that's just an idea. That's not even a motion before the board. I get, yeah, okay, cool, sorry. My bad. Sorry.
Well, I'm good. I know Marcia would do it, so.
You do it, Marcia?
Sure. I like the idea of the liaison because I feel pretty strongly that just out of naivete, we haven't made the progress we should have in the last 4 or 5 months. And, you know, perhaps more education for us is important to understand the processes better, because we've just been kind of flailing in the dark about how, you know, we can vote all the things we want to here, but if it doesn't get out this door, then we haven't really made any progress. And I think it's important to have a known path that will take place when we decide to try to take some kind of action or recommendation, that we know these are the next steps it has to go through. And I don't think we've been educated very much about that. So I like the idea of having somebody designated, whether it's our current chair or it's somebody else on the council, that has the job of reaching out to city council members. That doesn't preclude the rest of us from doing it. Because I've been trying to get a hold of Becky Tuttle for 2 months now and she hasn't answered me. I know. She finally did answer me 3 nights ago, finally, and said, by the way, I'm meeting with Mike Jordan. And
Said that?
she did.
Wait a minute.
That hasn't been confirmed either.
She said, oh, I'm already talking to Mike Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we do need some guidance, and, you know, we don't have any place else to go for that. Jesse's brand new on the job. I don't think he knows the process enough to help us. And so we have to have some kind of help about the process and be better educated about how we can move forward with the stuff we want to see move forward, because we're just flailing in the dark.
I think it's more just to recommend. I think everything we voted on in here has been done except for that item. And that was more of a recommendation. And I think that's where we really didn't know. And I'll probably take as much
Yeah,
responsibility.
everything else that the board has done has been done. So like membership rates, contract changes, that's literally, this is really, and again, not to say we won't take criticism. I think that is kind of the thing. We do need to get that process in place. Yeah.
Those are not steps that have to go to the council. I think that's where we missed that.
Exactly.
Okay, we can do these things that aren't council driven. How do we take care of something that is council driven? That's what we need to be smarter about.
But the nice thing is, a lot of our things don't have to, which is also kind of, so.
True story.
Yeah, very effective that way. I don't know if we want to put this on agenda now or consider for the next meeting, the liaison position, but.
Make a motion now, or if you're okay with doing that,
I would do that.
I would make a motion that we vote Marcia as our liaison and for the communication city council.
I'd second the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Quorum here. He's muted.
There he goes. Yeah, muted.
Aye.
Yeah, I realize that to be the official liaison, that doesn't, like I said, that doesn't preclude any of the rest of us from trying to have meetings, set groundwork while we're trying to do something here or there. But because of input from everybody, I mean, Marcia can go up, and the biggest problem she probably has is in city manager to try to get through that area there. I think the city manager is the person that actually sets the council agenda, so the buck kind of stops there unless we can meet individually with them. There's no way we can meet with them as a council and unless you get on the agenda and go to the council meeting.
Yeah, same open meetings issues where, they don't hang out together for the same reason.
They had close to a quorum at that meeting.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we gotta watch out for. Yeah, exactly. Just like you all in the courses. Yeah.
Okay, continuing on with prior business, we communication in terms of path to the council. We've got that, and cart path improvement.
Jesse, I just had some pop up.
Yeah,
Thought, I don't know, I can't remember if we decided on the, last position on the board since they haven't been here and.
we'll come bring that up today.
Yeah, I'm gonna take care of that after this meeting, so, yeah. Okay. I'll make this quick. Next thing.
Oh, yeah.
They're probably not. There might be something back.
Do something about a 5-hour round.
Yeah, go back. It's
Crazy today.
Door shut.
Ladies tournament that started at 10 and I just finished.
Thank you.
Jammed up the horse.
I don't know. I didn't see too many people out there. I saw the kids out there this morning.
Kids before a women's tournament. They slowed us down so much. It took us 5.5 hours to.
Okay, I'll go through this pretty quick. You all, we've talked about this in the past, and the budget adjustment that was approved today, this is the big part of it. 3 of the 4 courses being MAC, SIM, and TEX all have cart paths that are in dire need of repair. And Auburn, it's more of a bridge issue, so we'll tackle that down the road. But been really working on this. I went to each course, rode with the superintendents, and we've identified all of the areas that need the most repair. Basically, what we did was anywhere when you hit that part of the path, if you feel it in the cart, we mark that as needing repair. So looking at each course individually, text. Number 1, pretty much the entire length of hole number 1, about 650 feet of continuous cart path need to be replaced. And then this area that is in the picture, it's the area between, 10, 18 green, 9 green, that whole deal by the clubhouse is awful. And then there is a few smaller sections throughout the course. So it's a total of 11,000 square feet at Tex. At MAC, it's a lot of small sections. Every hole had 1 or 2 or 3, 20, 30-foot sections that need to be replaced. Total of 3,800 square feet. And then at SIM, SIM's the same thing as MAC. There's several sections that need to be replaced. And then you go ahead and go to the next slide here. That old road that goes through the golf course, so you have to get on in 2 places to go to the next hole, is absolutely terrible. I'm meeting tomorrow with a company and some folks from the city to kind of figure out a plan to how to address this. So I'll know more about that tomorrow. But early estimates, not including whatever we decide to do with that road at Sim, came out right between 120 and 135,000. And to be quite honest, that's a lot better than what I expected. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now, of course, we'll have to put this out for bid. It's a pretty quick process. And after I talk to them tomorrow, we'll try to get that plan. Randy?
So when you guys are going through there and you're looking at this and noting spots, are you also looking at hypothetically, if it's root damage coming from a tree here or there and fixing the actual problem so that we don't get another repeat of?
Yeah, we have a printing machine that we can cut all the roots. The company has, we've looked at basically just what you said. Everywhere there's a problem, let's stop and figure out what causes and what can we do. So there's a lot of work to prevent that. Once it's fixed, to prevent it from just happening again.
Is that part of the estimate here?
What's that?
Is that part of the estimate?
Yeah, and then there are a lot of spots on the path where it just falls off, and we can do that internally. We can fill in those spots where your the car path is fine, but it just falls off, and if you're not paying attention, then it'll rock your world when your tire.
It's bad on the carts, I gotta believe.
What's that?
And I bet it's bad on the carts, so I
Yeah,
gotta believe the
it's
tires.
definitely. We don't want to replace or start damaging all new carts, so. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. I'm very happy again with that quote. We'll see, hopefully tomorrow we come up with a pretty good solution. That road at Texas is probably the worst spot of anywhere, so.
So you have a company that's.
I have a couple, now we'll have to put it out for bid, but I just wanted to get some estimates so we know. I didn't have a clue. I mean, I was $80,000 over what this came back in my head, which is great. But yeah, I just wanted to get a couple of, come out, take a look at it, give me your thoughts, and then we'll put it up for bid.
This is all concrete, not asphalt.
That's right.
And timeframe we're looking at is downtime during this winter sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, he actually told me he'd prefer to do it when the ground's frozen so that you're not making tracks all over the course. He's gonna use buggies for the most part, anywhere he can't get the truck in without doing damage. So we talked about that, and we'll work close with the superintendents to make sure we're not doing damage to the golf courses, but yeah, definitely over the winter time. So. Any more questions on that? Just want to kind of let you know where we stand there. So. Yeah. All right. That's you.
While you're on the prior business, the carts for Auburn, we have.
Coming.
I heard that.
No, I
In the,
okay, in the meeting.
I didn't see it on there.
He brought it up. The carts, you all know, we've got 3 of the courses are delivered. The carts are used. Auburn, we have the electric carts coming. So they've been, we thought they were going to be here. They were delayed a week. So we're hoping the next 2 weeks we'll have the carts in place. So kind of out of our control and even out of our, out of Massic's control.
So Scott called me and asked about getting some help because they're gonna park the trucks down in Dillon's parking lot where there's actually a little bit of extra room down there as opposed to trying to bring them into the Auburn Hills parking lot. And then my understanding is we would shuttle the old carts down to Dillon's, take the new carts back.
Gumball rally.
We can time it out on a day where we have a maintenance day and the parking lot's open. That's kind of what I'm hoping. It just kind of depends on Yamaha. I think we can do it a lot easier than that. And one thing, if that's the plan, we need to make sure we're communicating with Dillon's. I don't want to just take over the parking lot. So
The other thing is that street on the other side there, Onewood, they could park right there on Onewood.
yeah.
Another option.
We're not bringing the maintenance.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing. So they could honestly just back it into the maintenance shop, so we're not having to cross 135th.
Yeah, I think we can get up with especially when we know for sure when the trucks are coming, we can talk to them and figure out a bigger.
It needs to be easier because we don't have to fuel them. They're just put together and
If we
go.
can do it on a maintenance day and just pull in the parking lot, unload, pull out, that would be best.
And the tops and stuff have to be put on yet, is that correct?
Tops, windshields.
The seats.
The seats came on those last week.
Yeah. Yeah, we did the other 3 quarters. It takes 4 hours if we have enough staff. We're crew helping. It's not that bad at all.
I can get a couple of guys.
Yeah.
A few guys.
Old Men's Club, Randy.
Yeah, honestly,
Yeah, I'll let you know as soon as.
I'll be honest, if you get more than 5, they almost get in the way of each other. There's only so much you can do at each cart. So
We did Mac first. There was too many people.
Yeah. It's, that's the least of the concerns. It'll be an easy day. It's not a big process at all. So we just need to get the carts here. So.
So the last update was the 23rd. They were supposed to be done.
Yeah, we probably don't need to broadcast that and overpromise that, but that's what we're hoping for, yeah. But that's changed 3 times already, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New business, clubhouse renovations, updates.
Can I ask that we switch the order a little bit?
Sure can.
While Nate's here.
It's okay, yeah.
You good?
Yeah, take
Okay.
it.
Okay. Clubhouse renovations, I don't have a PowerPoint or presentation, but to kind of give you an idea of where we're at, Kevin can chime in. Tex, we are really close. They've got the doors and the windows in. The doors, all we need is the glass that goes in the door. They're hoping next week or 2 that'll be in. Right now, they've just got it boarded up. The outside of the front of the building, the end caps are above the big windows are done. Kevin and I hung TVs up at Tex and Mac last week. Looks really good. Really, what do we lack in there? We've got
The door for the sim room, windows for the other doors. And then we still never got an answer from Jeff on what to do with those window panes that are rotted out, but
yeah.
what I heard, that's just gonna be done by us at a later date.
Okay, we do.
At their Pawnee Prairie or
Yeah.
McDonald or
Tex. Yeah, we're gonna, someone's coming in next week to paint the ceiling and the counter. And then the last step would be the floor. So the floor in the dining area, we weren't gonna do. So it didn't look that bad, but then when we got new stuff everywhere else, it looked really bad. So we're coming back and we're gonna tackle that too. We should have the quote for that. I thought we'd have it today, but hopefully tomorrow. But a few weeks that'll be done. The simulator, I've just got, it's on the final stage of approval. That had some IT involvement, which delays everything dramatically, but I should have that PO hopefully tomorrow, the next day, and then we can get that on the way. So that'll be put together in the next few weeks, couple weeks probably. At Mac, it's, we've got the counters in, so we've got the counter in place where the pro shop is gonna go on the end of the dining room. We just ran the power and the network cables, or they started it, they're gonna finish it this week. And then we can move the computers out, get staff working out there. At that point, we can move all the merchandise out of the pro shop and start the offices in the pro shop room. And then
Doors and windows should be in the next 10 days or so.
yeah, we're gonna take out the two doors that are on each end of that big room. We're taking those out and putting one big double door in the middle. So when you walk in, you'll have pro shop on the right, kind of dining straight ahead and to the left. And then over the winter, we're gonna do the bathrooms. But it's,
And the kitchen there, I'm gonna do over the winter.
yeah, we got the counter in for the kitchen. That's gonna involve Kevin and I ripping out the old counter, gutting that kitchen and starting the food and beverage there. So, and then.
Is there a need to improve the electrical outlets there at McDonald's?
Yeah.
At Mac, yeah, we have to put in new breakers. Nobody will connect anything new to those breaker panels.
Yeah.
They're from 1953.
Yeah, that's all part of the next few weeks. But yeah, they're really coming together. Really good feedback. I hope you all have seen some of them. And I think right now they look okay, but once we get the last few touches, it'll all come together. So pretty happy with how that's coming in.
I pushed back the kitchen at Mac because of the simulator at Tex. They're gonna have business over the winter. So we're gonna dive in and get the kitchen done at Tex first. So while people are playing in the simulator room, we have a full kitchen and a full menu going on there. That should be, I want the construction people out of the way before I start getting this kitchen.
we already allocated, I know the over total amount. Are we all right in terms of the allocation to complete both the restrooms and the kitchen and add the floor?
Yeah.
At Pawnee Prairie?
We are. All said and done, we should be $50,000 to $100,000 under budget. Because we've done most of the work ourselves, honestly.
How about your conversion for your office space?
It's all parts
Included.
That's all
There.
Yeah, it's included.
So if we had that left and we left it laying there, the feasibility of putting a simulator on the east side of town?
Anything.
You have a spot, yeah.
That funding will cover anything that involves any type of clubhouse improvement.
Definitely not at Sim. There's just no room, but
There's no time limit on that number?
Nope, that money stays there until.
forever.
Good.
Yep.
That's
Mac may have some rooms back there that we could squeeze something.
Yeah, I want to make sure we get all the things that we have to do completely done, and then we'll see what's. Yeah, I mean, our original, we went to the architect, the original amount was 300,000 over our budget. So we just said, let's just dive in and figure this out. So we did most of the work, a lot of the work ourselves, or we did, well, Kevin was basically the general contractor and stayed on top of the individual people, and it saved that much money. I mean, it's crazy, but Kevin.
Wow, really?
Yep.
Good job.
Here.
Assistant to the.
So, yeah, I'm pretty happy. Like I say, once we get these last few steps done, I think it'll really come together and look good. So pretty happy with where we're at there.
Before Dalton, I don't know if you want to leave or not. I want to revert back to the cart path and the bridges. I haven't been under that. When we're talking to bridges at Auburn Hills, are we talking about some structural problem? Or are we talking about the plank coverings?
Both.
The majority of what I've seen is just the planks. I have not actually dived into the structural integrity of them, but there's some that have some worries. Like what I've heard is the bridge at 7, going from 7 tee boxes to 7 green. I've heard when we have our rainy season and monsoons, there's a lot of water that goes underneath that bridge. And normally those planks, they either do one or two things. They either want to be wet or want to be dry. And if have a lot of that, then the structural integrity of that could be compromised. So I honestly have not dove into that quite yet, but just driving over them, there's definitely some boards loose here and there.
I mean, down on 3 there, those
Yes.
just appears to be planking, so.
Yes,
I mean, that's an in-house quick fix to me.
yes, sir.
And even some of the entrance and exits of the bridge have some
Yes.
pretty severe bumps getting on and off the bridge, so we'll address that, but I don't know if that's more of a bridge issue or something we need to do with the concrete leading up to it, so.
Probably just where the concrete approaches the bridge abutments or. Just, that might be something you can approach with that cart deal.
There appear to be a couple of plank issues at McDonald's, a couple of bridges there. as well.
Yeah, we had that conversation. They fix this next week, so, yeah.
It's just,
A couple of them were.
that's just a problem that we see. with
One
that slide.
pretty much rotted out. I was like, ooh, there's gonna be a cart in the creek in a minute.
New cart in the.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know whether that came from when they decided to redo some bridges that the guys, superintendents kind of decided, well, I'm not messing with bridges anymore because we gotta have all this planning come down from the planning department, so. Seems like we can do all that in-house.
Absolutely.
Okay. Golf course study.
All right, I talked about this, I think the last time I was here, and it's part of a group that organizes this survey with strictly municipal golf courses across the country. Very interesting what came back, keep in mind what I'm about to pull up is numbers from 2022. We're still in 23, so first quarter of next year, we're gonna input the 23 numbers and have that more what I'm interested in, but so you have 3 columns on each slide. You have the golf course so this is sim, and then you've got the Midwest average. So it just took the courses that are kind of in our region of the country, and then the industry average, which is the combined total of all the courses across, just strictly municipal courses across the country that participated in the survey. So looking at sim, our total revenue, 1.1, 1.2 nearly. The average for a municipal golf course in 2022 in the Midwest was 1.8, industry average 2.3. So we'll talk about that more in a second. Food and beverage, 134,000 is what sim did in 22. The Midwest average nearly 400,000, and the industry average is actually down from. So people in the Midwest like to eat more, I guess. And then take the food and beverage out, just golf revenue, a little over $1 million. Average in the region is 1.3 and 1.9 industry average. So revenue, we're definitely on the low side. Now where we make up for it, and if it's good or bad, our maintenance expense is 253,000. The Midwest average is 433, industry average $622,000. So looking at what we spend to maintain our golf courses, it's amazing that we have courses that we do. I think that's great that we hold expenses, but there's areas where it definitely shows where we hold expenses. So then clubhouse and then general expense, 119, huge difference there.
Maintenance expense include labor.
No, not. This number may be a little bit skewed because most of the courses that we did was a single course. So with us having 4 courses, I tried to break down all the admin fees and divide that up for us. At least that number may be a little bit off. I'm not holding as much stock in that number. Net income, 222,000. That's the profit that sim made. Midwest average 387, industry average 616. Now, here's where I think you'll see why we are where we're at in this chart. Total employees 20 compared to 23 average in the Midwest and 30 employees at industry average. Our rounds played are up. I mean, we did 6,000 more rounds than the other courses in this area. Our revenue per start. So if you take our total revenue divided by the total amount of rounds that we played, $27.80. In Midwest average is $41. Industry average is $49. And then looking at our weekend rack rate, this is what we charge for green fees, 27, average is 37. Industry across the country is 45. You can see probably why we're on the very low end of total revenue. Now with our, of course, it's factors in member rounds, it's factors in everything. So take from that what you will. We'll look at the other three and then we can kind of discuss it. At Tech, same thing. This is kind of our cash cow, to be honest with you. We got 1.4 million compared to 1.8 Midwest. Food and beverage is a little bit better here, 161, but still way behind the 389 average. Golf revenue is really close here. 101 almost 1.3, about $40,000 off the Midwest average. Maintenance expense even lower than Sim somehow at Tech. It's phenomenal. That course is what it is. Net income kind of going down. 513 is how much profit Tech's made in 22. That's above the Midwest average and not too far from the industry average. 21 employees, so still in the low end there. Now here's where this is why Texas is where it's at, 50,600 rounds, and we're blowing that away this year.
It's just,
that's 14,000 more rounds than the Midwest average. 28.53 per start and same rack rate of $27. So Tex definitely does it by quantity, not by price. McDonald, 1.2, so 600,000 off the average. Food and beverage down on the lower end. Kind of going through maintenance expense 264, and that does not include water. I didn't pull that off this. There's a lot more to this study that I left out, just trying to put this slide together. Mac obviously has the water expense on top of that. Net income, so we profited 181 in 2022 at Mac. Again, 23 employees. Brown, we're on the lower side of our four courses, 39,000, but still above Midwest average and not far from industry average. More revenue per start. And when you break that down, there was more green fee play by a percentage, a little bit more at Mac for whatever reason, compared to the other courses, and same rack rate of $27. Finally, Auburn, 1.4, so 400,000 off of the Midwest. Food and beverage is higher at that course with the setup, but still way down. Golf revenue, not too far off the Midwest average. Maintenance expense a little bit higher. It's a lot bigger property, and the layout is 2 miles out, 2 miles in, and then 2 miles the other way. So it's a lot of ground to cover. The whole no holes are side by side, so it takes a lot. Net income just under 200,000 in profit that year. Couple more employees, 24, but still on the lower end. Browns played 45,000, revenue per start 31. Of course, the rack rate is $5 more at Auburn than the other three courses, so that kind of makes sense that the revenue per start is a little bit higher. But again, there's a lot more information in this survey that I'm still kind of unpacking, but I tried to pull some of the key things here. We have very low cost for our golfers, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it does make it so that we have to keep our maintenance expenses down. Food and beverage, I think will make a big jump next year. I mean, that's a big spot where we're down compared to the average, nearly under 50% most cases. And then our revenue per start. Now that revenue per start does include food and beverage. So when that comes up, hopefully that number, the revenue per start comes up as well. But I like to just, I don't want a lot at you. You may not have any comments, but just get some feedback on what you see, think, any areas of concern or opportunity.
It really makes you realize how lucky and cheap it is here.
Yeah.
For 4 really good golf courses.
Yeah.
4 courses, it's unbelievably cheap. I do know when they put the proposals in for Kemper and all those other companies came in and gave their proposals.
Mhm.
The one thing that they all focused on was F&D. When they looked at our systems, they said, this is where we can improve the greatest. This is where we can make the most money, F&D. And I think we're already kind of on that track, but just kind of hasn't been implemented yet due to redoing the kitchens, so on.
Yeah.
But I do think once we get a good full menu going, I would not be surprised to see our F&B go up drastically.
I definitely, I mean, there's no doubt our food and beverages, we're lacking there. And the one thing with food and beverages, it comes with more costs. You have to buy the food, you have to have people to serve the food. So the margins are a little bit smaller, but strictly from a revenue standpoint and from just what we offer our guests, there's a huge hole there that I can't wait to see where we end up coming out in spring.
With the 50,000 or plus rounds we have in Tex. Is that sustainable? I mean,
He's gonna beat it this year.
We're blowing it away. This is 22 to 23s.
The head of that number, which
Yeah.
or Dalton could tell you coming from a country club, that's an insane number.
It's sustainable. I mean, we can handle it. We're pretty well maxed out at Tex. I mean, we can't fit another.
During the summer, he was doing about 320 rounds a day.
But I mean, yeah, we can maintain that number as long as people keep coming out, but if we're trying to increase revenue, we're not gonna do it by adding more rounds at this point.
Is that a worry if we start increasing our just rounds and everything? Is that something that we might be worried about, is maybe not having that many rounds played? Like just deterring the public from coming out and playing? Because I mean, obviously the numbers show that it's pretty dirt cheap to go out there and spend 4 hours of your time out there.
Are you saying we increase rates? Are we
Yes.
concerned?
Yeah.
I mean, it's always a concern. This industry traditionally is up and down, but right now, I mean, unless we go crazy, I don't see that really being an issue. I mean, the demand is, my number one complaint is I can't get a tea time. I don't see that being an issue at all.
Yeah, for the green fee paying customer, I mean, we bumped cart fee and there wasn't that.
Yeah.
So being at Tex all the time,
That's our opportunity, I think.
Tex gets a lot of people that come right from the airport and want to squeeze around to golf before their business thing.
Mhm.
And they'll come in and we ring them up and say $40 and they just stare at us like, what? So the cart and the greens. Yeah, I was just so-and-so and I paid 90 at a public course.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're like shocked what they're charged, what we charge.
Yeah, I mean, we want to keep it affordable. We want to keep it, but there's a point, you can see how much less we're spending on our golf courses than other courses. I would like to see the quality of the courses go up, and I think that's one area we could make a big difference real quick because it's the green fees.
That Midwest average, what areas are we talking about? I mean, are we talking right through Chicago, Nebraska, South Dakota, or what?
Yeah, I saw it just on a map. It was the color, so you're making me think what's in that color. I mean, it's basically, we're right in the middle of it, and it's probably 2 states on each side. I can find a map, I can kind of show you, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm just kind of curious.
probably 10, 12 states were included in that. It was just kind of this part of the country, so.
I mean, you get down into Texas, obviously.
Yeah, Texas, that
Southwest.
can play all year,
Yeah.
warm temperature. That is not included in the
Well,
Midwest.
I bump that up as Chicago's usually considered Midwest and the rates in Chicago are double, triple ours.
And they're also going to add to this a public non-municipal in 23, so you can see municipal courses and compare them to non-municipal public courses as well.
And you gotta kind of know the locales that you're taking, comparing to.
I'll pull that for the next meeting show too.
Just,
Yeah.
no matter what we do, you basically, you gotta remain competitive with wherever your locale is. And there is a price point where you price yourself out of business.
Sure. I think you can see, I mean, when you include Texas, California, everywhere, all these big cities that are obviously gonna be a lot more expensive, you can see the big difference between the Midwest region and the industry average. It's a big jump. Except for food and beverage.
Thanks.
Once we get our clubhouses back in shape, is this something that we can leverage and make, this something like a golf destination for, the quality of golf you get for that price? I mean, if we can sustain 50,000 plus, rounds, we can replicate that at some of the other courses.
To this point, we can advertise, but we have to have a smart put all the new people that we bring in.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. If we
we're
get,
gonna say, but it's.
if we get McDonald's from, up to 50,000,
Yeah,
that'd be pretty nice.
yeah.
Advantage Tex has is the pace of play out there's 4 hours, 10 minutes is a long round at Tex. I mean, you play both courses. McDonald takes longer.
Yeah, I just think the layout of the course too. I mean, Auburn, you're driving in between holes, seems like forever. So
And it
That is
takes,
something-
you're not looking for balls.
Yeah.
Blast away and you can find it. You may not like it, but you can find it.
yeah, definitely the playability, I think, has something to do with it. So that's how it is.
Any other comments or questions? I just wanted to kind of share again, there's tons of data for me to go through. I just tried to throw this together to kind of hit the key points, but. All right.
Before we get into the budget process, which I know we're gonna have some struggles with, I was curious, this is often new business to me, what the status was. I know you was doing some research on what we might be able to do at Sim Irrigation and started a little bit of a process on that.
Yep, I actually meant to put that on the agenda. I'm glad you brought it up. Yeah, we met and Mr. Jordan was with us. We met with a company that's doing the irrigation at Prairie Dunes. They just finished, I believe. They did a complete irrigation replacement. And they came out and we kind of talked through what we wanted to do. They will basically put together a plan and they map out the course and put together a plan of where the heads need to be efficient. And then there's basically, you can get a good estimate with so much per head. So it's $5,000 to get that done, $49.99. And that would give us an idea of exactly what we're looking at Tex, or at Sim for the irrigation. So part of that budget adjustment today, I wanted to get that done. And then I would like to move forward with that. I'm glad you brought this up. It totally slipped my mind. I would like to move forward with that and at least get that number. I mean, right now we're saying it's somewhere between 1.4 and 2.5. Well, makes a big difference on how to plan that out. So, in talking to him, he sounded pretty optimistic. Sim is going to be on the low end because the course it's a smaller area. There's no big hills. It's a real sandy base, so it's real easy to do. So he felt like he was pretty confident thinking that was going to be more on the lower end. So I don't really want to put out a number because I don't know until we do that $5,000. But I would like to move forward with that and get that more accurate estimate, I guess.
It's just like a survey.
Yeah.
You need action from us on that, or you have it? You've got.
Yeah.
That 5,000 per course or just?
Yeah, it'd be per course. Because basically what they do, they have their big, whatever service they do, and they map out the course and they use whatever system they use to determine where the heads need to be located to be efficient. And then they price it out. He said it's typically, you can base it on somewhere between 2,000 and 2,500 per head. So if we're looking at somewhere between 650 and I would say 900 heads, depending on how they need to lay that out. So you do that math, it's 1.3 to 1.8 million, I think is kind of what I think that's where I was at. But once we do that, then we can say, instead of 1.4 to 3 million, we can say it's 1.4 to 1.5. Then we know what we need to do.
On the irrigation things, make me smarter about that. Will we? I mean, no, this is more not
Mike and
how they
Dolph.
work. I don't want. What I'm more concerned about is how, when that work is being done, are we also losing rounds?
No, typically you close one hole at a time. That's what they did at Prairie. You can do it a few different ways. At Prairie, they close one hole at a time.
Okay,
So they do kind of lay the main lines and you can walk me through that and
so
then.
there may be a little attrition from people who are saying, I'm not gonna go.
There's some disruption, but
It's gonna impact play. There's no way around that.
Sure. I just didn't know how much.
I mean, you still have people on the course every day. Tournaments are pretty much impossible with that going on. So we would lose that during that time, and it is a long process, 6 months probably.
Oh, if you're using poly, it's quicker than that because of the way they pull it and it's. Put in.
So really the only big excavation that we're gonna have, that they would have to do is with the main line. And then any of the laterals that go off of it, they will be able to pull in. So basically where your main line's gonna run, they have to dig that in, and then all your laterals that will come off of it, they can pull in. And with the new HTP that's out there, I mean, it's bulletproof. It's, as soon as it's in the ground, you don't really have any big time leaks because that it's made to last for 50+ years. So.
So actually installing, if we get to that point where we can put a system in, Sim Park is the easiest place to do it. Because like I said, we have a sand profile. We don't have drainage there because all the drainage there is pit drained. So you can put the bullet in the ground and pull that pipe through there and stick a head on it. It's a fast process and most contractors are not interested in piddling around there all year. So it's always advisable that they do it in the swiftest way possible. It helps us, helps them. So, but it is of the courses that we got to do quickest and the easiest.
and that's why I should be quiet and let them talk.
You have a time frame on when they could come in and do that for the $5,000 to map it out?
Yeah, they could start on it right away. It's, they don't really even need to come out. They might come out and look at a couple of hills, whatever, but they use the.
Just use aerial footage.
Yeah,
That brings up my other question is, did the planning department have a topo for that we can use for that on that?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's the biggest drawback, where you'd have to make a topo.
yeah. No, he sent me everything I need to get it to the
Okay.
city. Yep.
Now, in terms of that, somewhere or another, we'll have to decide after you get back the information from the architect as to whether or not how you want to move heads around. And it's all going to depend on the number of heads, estimated cost as to whether you're going to have to decide whether you want to put heads sideways or deduct some heads from maybe the front of the tee up to the ladies' tee and not put heads there. You follow what I'm saying here?
Oh, hell no.
I think my plan on that was to let them come up with their plan, bring it to us, and then if it comes up and it's way more than we want to spend, we could say, if we have a budget of this,
I see.
could we modify this to
Right
find?
things.
Yeah,
Basically, what I'm saying is if we've already requested $2 million and you start getting to the point where you gotta have 2.5, I don't want to go through that hassle with the CIP again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where the decision comes, as how you adjust that to fit the monies that you might have got.
That makes sense.
So,
Okay.
Okay.
That'll be great information to have, no question about it, as a jumping off point.
that I agree as a board, or I think we need to proceed and get the topo to the proper people and pay that money and get it, so we have it a print of what we're talking about. So. Okay, that's off the cuff stuff now. All right, back to the 2024 budget process.
okay. So for this, I just wanted to, when you read the bylaws, part of the, I guess, responsibilities of this board is to help with the budget. So we're getting to that point in the year, so I wanted to kind of talk about how this looks. It'll be the first time we've done it, obviously. So I've kind of asked Nate to be here to make sure I'm not doing anything wrong, but what I'm kind of thinking is I could put together a budget. The way I see it. And then what I would like to do is put together a workshop or just a budget workshop where we all come in and we go, that's the only thing we do. We go line by line and go through the budget and kind of go through what is in this line item, what do we expect? And come up with that budget to present to finance to put in place. So I guess I'd like to just, we're getting to that point. It's going to get here quick. So we just need to kind of open that discussion and see if you agree or if anybody has any other ideas on that.
What's the budget calendar look like? I mean,
Yeah, I don't have it.
All online somewhere.
Yeah.
Annual budget, 5-year budget, 10-year budget, what do you?
Annual.
Yeah, right, annual.
How they do a 5-year budget in golf? It's like
Yeah.
one photo from 100 yards and that's, you know,
The city sends out a budget. I think Jesse's already done it, and they'll basically categorize everything where your budget items are. And they'll do some projections and they'll give you this, what this and what that. And if you want to make changes and like say line items like personnel, you're asked to submit those changes. You have to submit a reason for it. And if you want to, we had already talked about adding positions and trying to change some of these pay grades and what have you, steps. So maybe we could enhance trying to get some employees. And you have to, like I say, you have to do that in your proposed 24. And then, like I say, when you make a recommendation, you have to support why you're making a recommendation. I mean, if you need more sand, how come? You build traps this year and stuff, blah, blah, blah. And you gotta go through all those line items and then submit it. And then they review it and then they come back and start asking questions. And obviously in our case, in Jesse, when you get through with that, you gotta have some money to match what you're doing. I mean, we're not in a position where we get funds from the general fund to do it. So whatever we decide to do, we got to be able to fund. And that's where you're coming back in. How aggressive you get in changing your 2024 budget is based on how much money you have. And we got to look at whether or not we can keep funding all these projects that we've been able to do up to now versus what we're going to do in 2024 in the operating budget. So in terms of what Jesse's talking about, it's going to take some hassles to do. It's going to take some time.
Yeah, and I'll just say the workshop idea totally works as well. Usually kind of how it happens is staff will put together a budget for the board to consider. Maybe there will be a subcommittee, maybe there's a workshop. The timeline we work on usually, and I was kind of just double checking this, we've got kind of the last year's timeline on the city website right now, but we work backward from when we usually implement the budget. It's usually presented to council in July. So that as we kind of talked about, that's when some of those budget considerations were happening, but that's not when we do our work for the budget. We do that a bit more before. If you look on the city website, we kind of then track backward from that, where there's kind of a section where we go to the district advisory boards. There's a section where it's just a broader community workshop kind of thing. And then there's kind of a phase that happens sort of in the period from the budget to kind of the end of the year where staff and everybody collects information, where then we put it together into a proposed budget that starts going out to people in the new year. So it kind of works backward from July, and we try to do all our community engagement sort of before that July time. But then after July, we start building data for the next one to kind of go back in that way. So it's basically a constant process, but each year is triggered around that July, August time when council really implements the budget for the next year.
But does the budget process come down through, parks and recreations, and then they give us, here's the golf budget, or does Jesse put together the golf budget and it goes up?
Well, I would think that this board is empowered to do the latter. I think we could set it up where maybe Park provides us that information or something like that. But the way that your ordinance is set up, the way that this board is set up is to prepare an annual operating budget. And I think that gives you a little bit more flexibility and independence to do that with Jesse, basically.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Jesse, as far as doing some type of a workshop or subcommittee, whatever you want to call it. Also wondered, is there a way that we can get a view of last year's budget, how they did it last year, to where we kind of have an expectation of this is what they want to see, or this is what they're expecting?
Who
Yeah,
did it before you came?
who did it?
Who did it?
I guess it would have been Troy and Brandon, the finance guy for Park. I guess they work together. So, yeah. And yeah, to your question, I'll bring historical budgets and the revised budget for each year, for at least the last 2 or 3 years. To be honest, prior to COVID, those budgets really aren't relevant at this point because it was a different world back then. So I'll bring probably 20, 21, 22, 23.
Yeah, I just thought if you have an expectation of what they want to see as far as your budget, then that kind of gives you a starting point.
Oh, yeah, I'll have all that stuff. Yeah. And now that I've been here a year, I'll have some. When I first got here, I'm looking at the budget on the expenses. I had no idea what was. We spent 300,000, but I didn't know what it was on. Now at least I know where the money went, so I can be able to answer your questions.
Once you get the new software system, that'll be even easier, I assume.
No, that doesn't. We use Munis for accounting. That's not going to change. That's, yeah, like expenses don't go through that system at all.
That's just more for us.
Revenue does for sure.
So how soon do we need to do this workshop?
You said yesterday.
I mean, I think.
I think working backwards, the sooner generally the better, but I think probably it'll depend on when they can get you information first. So just the more we can, really, as long as it's an ongoing, maybe even an ongoing sort of process. But yeah, as long as everybody's okay with that approach of having staff put something together, then we can the board can decide how they want to look at it.
I'll definitely support that, just because that workshop, even if that's our initial dive in the deep end, then that gives us some idea of where we could go. And then we can deal with it probably in pieces after that fact. But I think we got to have that big picture look.
I'm looking at, I think our next meeting would be the third Tuesday, would be the 21st of November.
In terms of the budget, the city will let you know when to start on that, because the budget office goes through and they do the past budgets and they do the proposed. You'll get a proposed budget from them. And then it's up to you to amend it to what you think you're going to need for 2024. And that's when you make your amendments. That's what you have your meeting for. And that's why you write your recommendations as to why you want to do things. And, but they'll actually, budget office will send out all that information to you. And you just work from that.
Yeah, and I think, and that's exactly right. And something we could do before that, if we wanted to, was kind of just come up with priorities or how we may want to do it, just to have our amendments ready as well. So yeah, we can kind of structure it that order as well, but that's exactly right. Yeah, I love that.
Doing that when we built it to have a floating mechanic added to the 2024 budget. I mean, you got to make those recommendations when you get the budget proposals down. And if you want to amend salary ranges, you do that. That's all done off of that proposal that they'll actually send down to you.
So I'm looking at, our next meeting is the 21st of November. What if I bring in and provide you all with historical data? We can talk about changes that we want to make, and then we could workshop on December 5th, perhaps. Or if I'm throwing that out. I don't care. We can do it a different day if that doesn't work. Sometime around that first week of December-ish, whatever. Obviously, I'm flexible, so whatever works for you guys. If that sounds like a plan, we can kind of get you all the information and then we can have
We
that
need
workshop.
a motion to have that meeting. That's an in-shop work. That's a workshop.
Actually, as president, you can call a special meeting if you want to, but I don't, Now, just the majority of the board can call a special meeting or a president can call a special meeting. And that's what the workshop would effectively be.
Well, it's all predicated on when you get the information down from budget office.
Well, but as mentioned, Jesse can kind of put together what he we can basically pre-prepare what we want our amendments to be also to get ahead of the game.
We could look at this year's budget and say, if we were to route the budget from scratch next year, what would we want to change? And we'll have that ready.
Yeah, I mean, it may take several of these meetings to do what you're proposing.
So if we could.
But easy enough to call a special meeting. And this one, we wouldn't even be taking action. So theoretically, we could sort of show up and just talk about it, but better to get it sort of formalized with the date and everything like that too. Especially if the public wants to be involved.
Personally, I mean, I'm always available or try to be, and whether you have it afternoon or evening or what, I mean, that's.
Marsh is a world traveler.
Yeah, I was just looking at, sorry.
She's looking at her schedule.
So I will have to miss the meeting on the November meeting. I will be at the Missouri Valley Championships. So,
Wait a minute.
Huh?
That's assuming that we get to the championship.
no, this is volleyball, but there will be a Missouri Valley Championship and I have to be there. Doesn't matter who's there. There'll be referees there. And if there's referees there, I'm there. So,
Are you refereeing them? I've never seen you call one.
oh, decades I have done that. Yeah, we'll talk.
How
But
come you don't?
now I manage referees. I don't referee. I manage.
Oh,
The 5th though, the week of the 4th, 5th, that works well for me. I have to be out of town the weekend before and the weekend after, but as long as we do it during that week, I'm good. Thanks for everybody listening to my problems. What's in it?
I mean, I'm at work, so it doesn't matter.
It's not the week.
So you're saying we would have allocate a
December then.
longer time on the 5th of December, which is a couple of Tuesdays after our regular meeting, maybe.
Right, and I just picked Tuesday because that's the day our meetings are on.
Yeah.
We can do-
No, that Tuesday's a pretty good day
Any
for
chance we could do it like at Auburn instead of coming all the way downtown or?
well. She lives in Willow.
We may have a board conference room set up at MAC by then. Be close.
Hey, that would be nice. Yeah.
We'll see.
Actually, I don't care where we go.
Yeah.
The 5th.
Auburn is a nice place to be. So.
Yes, we're thinking the 5th around 4 potentially.
Well, what was the date, Marcia?
The
That's
5th,
the Tuesday. I believe.
the Tuesday, the 5th, I can do anything.
Okay,
December 5th. What time do you want to stick to the 4 to 6 or?
Okay.
Stay
4
with
to 6.
4 to 6.
4 or 6, okay.
Okay, so Tuesday, December 5th,
Be in there.
to be determined location from 4 to 6.
Okay, any more discussion on budget then? Just, I know we'll have another meeting, but just kind of think about things that you think in the operating budget that may come up in your mind that we might want to discuss. Or make changes to. Okay, 2024 board impact. Hopefully we've had a little impact.
The impacts, yeah, sorry, I'll jump to the next one. I put this on there just because I really wanted to get feedback from you all about, it's been 10 months or whatever now, we went through the season. On our end, we've had so much going on, it feels like we were going, but I guess as this board, I just wanted to get feedback from you on how you felt, how effective you felt we were, or you guys were, and if there was anything that we could do from the staff standpoint to be just to do better and be more effective and maybe structure the meetings different, anything that we could do just to do a better job in 24, if anything. And this is not, I'm happy. I just wanted to make sure, I don't want you guys leave here thinking.
We pose the question this meeting for discussion more next time as well, too. Instead of everybody answering right now, we
Oh,
could
yeah.
have this carry over as like a topic of conversation next meeting too.
I'll just make one comment, and that's kind of reflective of what I said earlier. I think as we learn more about how the sausage is made, then we can contribute more to the sausage. I mean, we just, we came in here totally blind with no blueprint and no predecessors to help us know what to do, which isn't that different from you. I mean, you kind of were in the same boat, and we're all just sort of paving our own way. And I think as a group, we didn't know what we were empowered to do for sure. I mean, we can read bylaws all day long, but that still doesn't mean we really understand the process and how we can impact it. And I think as we learn more about that, then, I mean, I love our relationship with staff. I've loved the idea of learning more and more about each course and the pros and the cons and the issues and the troubles. And I think that's all been wonderful, that you've been very transparent and very open with us about not only what our issues are, but what our goals are.
Appreciate that. And when you want to learn about sausage, talk to Kevin. That's it. And I know one thing that, like Randy, when we first started, he brought the idea of meeting at the course, and we have not done that. And I think there's trying to figure out how to overcome some of the challenges that come along with that. And we kind of just let that fade away. And I still think
there's some benefit to that, just because visually, I think you get so much more, go somewhere and you see it. But that's just my 2 cents. I don't know. Have any complaints about what you guys are doing and the way you're doing it at all. So.
I do agree. I wouldn't. Yeah. I like to have other sets of eyes on what we're doing. Some people want everybody out. They don't want people looking at it. I would love for you guys to come out, and I don't care if you rip it apart and say, change this, do that. It's just a different perspective. And I definitely don't think my way is always the right way. So I would love to get to a course and somehow put that in rotation where at least once a year we visit every course one time.
Maybe through the winter here when things kind of slow down a little bit more. I know in the winter, a lot of times when you want to do your projects too, so maybe it doesn't slow down so much. But that might be a time, some of the courses.
Yeah.
In terms of that, I've always thought that would be a lot of merit to doing that, because if you announce you're going to have a board meeting at Auburn and McDonald, whatever, but you may have some players out there that want to make some input.
I was gonna say, I think our visibility to the golf community would be
People,
great.
they're not gonna drive downtown, whereas if you're having a meeting and you post it, and they might say, yeah, I'm gonna be there, let me stop by and make a comment, good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, for whatever reason, you get more input from what you're trying to provide. So I think it's a good idea too. Again, it seems like we're just trying to get all of our oars in the water. As we do that, we'll maybe get better. Who knows?
Apologies for my ignorance, but are there places at each course to meet?
There is at Auburn. There soon will be at Mac.
Okay.
Sam, no, you're gonna be right in the middle of
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Tex in the dungeon.
Tex. We can
We'll
go
get
to
our,
that back
like,
room.
yeah, tough work done there.
Clean it out. There's room back there, so we can.
There's
Okay.
places to do it, but I'm not adverse to putting up a part of the room, and if somebody's coming through and wants to make a comment. What the heck? I mean, that could get hectic. You're right.
You do. You got.
Don't let those eyes roll back.
Well, I'm thinking, I know how much beer we sell, and I know when these people come to the clubhouses.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can, get a little schedule going.
Yeah, we could definitely start at Auburn and Mac, and we could do Tex.
You can have one of those gin players really press them.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a lot to say.
Cheated you on every game today.
One other thing, I still like to see some minutes from this meeting, because I've got a bug stuck in my head. Because when we changed the amount, we went from 37 to 50. I thought we went to 55 when we did that. I don't ever see any minutes on that. So, huh?
It was 55.
It was 55. I'm right.
Listen, Jesse.
What we advertised as the change was 50 though, but
No,
for our meeting, it might have been 50.
it went to 55. Double check it. But do that. But again, that just goes back to seeing some minutes on this thing. I never see any minutes.
Get posted.
I don't know where they.
Oh, okay, that's.
Double check.
Maybe mine. There.
Mentioned it earlier, but
Format you can send to them every
another
time.
mind. Is it gonna hurt the team?
Just like,
We're gonna address that. Cause that's if we have to go through and start that.
Yeah.
yeah, because it was $18.
All right, let's go to finance and rounds.
I'll try to set up Auburn Hills for next meeting, for the November 21st meeting. I know you're not gonna be able to attend.
Thanks for coming.
May, when I. Let me look at their schedule and I may, when I send the invite, I can change it.
Invite a Dalton.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. You guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dalton.
This is Marcia. Have you met Marcia?
She wasn't here yet.
Here. Dalton's the new superintendent in Auburn.
Oh, you are?
Hopefully the course wasn't too hard today.
Hey, get those college guys out of our dang way. Very nice to meet you.
On board. Damn college guys.
We had a college tournament out in front of our ladies tournament.
Nice to watch.
Thank you guys.
Thanks so
Yeah.
US Open out there. The way they're taking so long.
Angles.
Yeah.
Shot counts.
All right, so looking at September rounds, the finance report is not, and I'm still waiting on finance to close out the month of September and get me all the expenses and everything. So I don't have that. I'll send that out to you in an email as soon as I get that. I know he's working on it today. So we'll just go through the rounds and all this out of the rounds for the year, 158,000, almost 159 compared to 146 last year at this point. This is through September. As Kevin said, it doesn't make sense that how many people are out there.
That's off to our superintendents because that's crazy.
It's off to every person that works at every golf course. September alone was pretty even, compared to last year. We had Auburn was up, Tex was actually down a little bit this year. Last year, I mean, they almost hit 6,000 rounds, which is crazy. So it's still a phenomenal month. I don't really have an answer. I tried to figure out what would have caused the rounds to go down a little bit, but
We had like 3 tournaments.
yeah, so the tournaments, your rounds actually go down on those days, but your revenue goes up, so it's a good thing. The other course is pretty much dead even, so another really good month. Looking at park rentals for the year, 1.1 compared to 1,062,000 last year, 7% increase, so looking good there.
Is that cart fund going about as planned?
No, it's still way better. I set that up with a very conservative plan and we're blown away. So,
The 105 degrees for 2 weeks helped tremendously. Nobody walked.
yeah.
We were running out of carts everywhere.
Food and beverage, we're up almost 80,000 again. That's just doing, I mean, we really have been waiting on the clubhouse. So just a little bit we've done has made that big of an impact. I really think next year this is going to explode. So, I mean, Auburn is really the only place that we've been able to do a little bit more, and we're up to $5.40 per customer. And really, we didn't start doing those burgers until kind of the very end of this.
So that's banquets.
Yeah, so Auburn's doing well.
So
Curiosity.
that you have, that you can go ahead and start the new menu and the ovens and stuff. Are Sim and Auburn, are those the two that you could do?
Auburn will take some work. The electrical and everything run. Sim's pretty much done. I'll do my update in a minute, but
Just out of curiosity on that food and beverage. You get, let's say 540 up there. What's the cost to make that 540? Is there any way to really determine that? Because we share help, there's a lot of things that enter into that.
total cost with labor, I don't know. Actual full cost is.
Labor is hard because
Yeah,
they may work that counter and then work the golf counter back and forth, so you gotta do it by percentage. What is your food cost?
About 40. Our prices are still, they haven't changed in years.
So,
I mean, the beer prices have gone up quite a bit in the last 4 or 5 years, and we haven't changed those a nickel.
You're running 40. I would say with labor, you're probably looking at running about 25, probably. Something like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
35%.
35 cents to 40 cents on the dollar. No, I'm just
The
curious.
average restaurant's happy with 10%.
Yeah.
Driving ranges continue to be crazy. I mentioned I went Sunday when it was miserable at Auburn and there's 12 other people out there with me suffering, so they're packed. We do have new range balls will be here tomorrow at all three sources. Now, we kind of went into a panic mode. I don't know if you guys heard, but in Taiwan, there was a golf ball plant that exploded, like blew up. They basically made 80% of the range balls for the entire world, and they're not going to be back in production again for 12 to 18 months. They have to rebuild that whole place. So immediately get on the phone and start trying to figure this out. It was a heck of a process with the city to get it pushed through, but I ordered 1,500 dozen range balls for all three ranges. So was it 4,500? Yeah, 4,500 dozen range balls total. So that way we have enough range balls and they're all new to get through. They're certified range balls to get through the next year. Because if we didn't order them now, we weren't getting new golf balls. So we luckily were able to get that pushed through quick enough to get those balls. So we have new range balls and we should be good for the next year. Merchandise, of course, the city only gets the 5% on the side there, but it's still something that we offer to the customers, and it's a good reflection of how busy we are. You can see at Auburn, by far the busiest of all the pro shops. Techs,
Hey.
Shoot now.
For that.
Didn't have a pro shop for about a month and a half.
Yeah, Sim didn't really have a pro shop. Max waiting to move. Tex was down, and all of his entire merchandise was in the back room for 6 weeks. So there's definitely been some impact with the construction here, but still really good. Membership count. So again, this process of increasing the dues and going through and trying to clean all this up was very slow, where it's been, we found so many errors and just things that were not just bad data that we had. So these numbers changed 1650 to 1672 to 1629. Don't put too much into that because that was counts that should have been combined. There's just a lot of different things that were wrong there. So I think we're at a good clean point now, which is really good that we did that before we get the new system. So we can input that new data as clean. But 1629 basically stayed pretty well flat even with the increase. So pretty happy with that. And then total revenue the month of September, 654,000, 655,000. Last year we did 618,000 in September, so about a $35,000 increase. And last year was by far a record September up to that point. For the year, 5.2. My goal starting the year was 6.5 million, and I think we're easily going to hit that. I think for this month we're on track to do close to 600,000, depending on the weather next week. So I don't think we'll have any problem getting that to that goal. Last year at this point, we were at 4.7, so $500,000. And then again, I don't have the financials because I haven't got those from finance. Hopefully I'll get those tomorrow and I'll send them to you all through email. So any questions on any of this? We are entering the spring and the fall as far as chemicals. It's not, I know that's kind of your more expensive time. So we have purchased we did some bulk orders and some different things to save money on this last order. So expenses will go up a little bit, but they went up last year too. So it's no different. It'll be year over year the same. So. And some of the prices actually went down on some things, which is the first time in 5 years. Yeah. Yep. There's the lady.
Okay, I noticed we don't have any other staff members here except Jesse,
All our head pros are broken right now.
yeah.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, we've got,
Let's see
go through
another.
the list. Steve has got a fractured right wrist and a fractured left elbow. He
Fell 18 inches.
fell off a chair trying to get in the attic and fell this far and somehow landed on both arms. So he's roughed up. Scott, if you've seen him in the last 3 days, his hand is the size of Bigfoot's hand. It's in a cast and it's just this gargantuan thing sticking out of the end of a brace. He just had surgery last Tuesday. Colin was down for a couple weeks with some respiratory issues. Mark was on crutches for a few days at Mac. I don't know if it's you guys or I don't know what you're doing when you go out there, but just be nice. Oh, yeah. Yeah, hopefully we're all on the recovery. Next month, that'll be, what is it right now, October, November. If the weather cooperates, I'll try to encourage all the supers and the head pros to be here, give a little update. I know it's been a while since I've been here, so hopefully.
Yeah, was Sim Park the last verification?
Yep, no verification.
It was now completed, so everybody's
Done.
Yep, Sim was supposed to be the first one, but because of an event, he moved to the end of the line, but we're done.
Hey, what's the story with the new water feature in front of the 10 green at Sim? That grass bunker that won't empty ever.
I think we're 10
now it's 10. The middle pot.
The middle pot bunker, the grass bunker, has had water in it for 2 months. Just sitting there.
Wait.
Water hazard.
So I said it's a new water feature.
I
I mean, I'm assuming it's just a plug drain.
And
Was that the road? See it?
it's right in the middle of the street pot bunker.
There's 3
Yeah,
grass bunkers and it's the middle one.
They got drainage in there. It's the same problem you had off the cart path coming off 18 Green. It's got plugged up and nobody's cleaning it out, so it's retaining water.
Just creating a fourth carrier.
It's a, oh,
Yeah,
Harder stuff.
yeah, you don't want to try to roll in that one.
it's the same problem they got, or had right there.
I've been meaning to ask you that for 2 months, seriously.
Played in that, beat the pros 2 weeks ago, but.
You didn't try and roll it out.
Yeah.
You
I just hit over it.
Just hit over it.
Just hit your ball with the green and you never noticed it. That's what the deal
Well, I was
is.
in a scramble. Somebody else hit the green, so I'm good. Let's go.
Again, you're back to
I'll be out there tomorrow with the cart pass. We'll take a look at it.
pocket drain thing that they do. I mean, it's the same kind of the problem. There's a spot right behind the green. You got the same problem. You got, anyway,
Okay.
one of these days when you get a chance to ride around over there, you'll see these spots.
I'll be out there for a long time tomorrow, so.
So,
My complaint is all that nasty algae at the McDonald's ponds. I mean,
yeah.
that stuff is bubbling.
Yeah.
It's nasty.
Touch the water. Creatures in there.
Yeah.
He bought some, what do you call it? Some
Just
outside, yeah, and
Is he using it?
It didn't do anything.
But it ate it up and made it.
Oh, yeah.
Fed-
So we actually looked at it last week and with the colder temperatures, it should get better, but we're gonna have to drag that or do something. We're trying to figure out. He talked to another company that had a different product that they said would 100% take care of it. So he was looking into that. So,
It's the same with that. What's the hole at Tex where it's way up?
one with the turtles.
That pond, you-
15.
On that one, I swear to God.
Oh, it's, yeah, they're the same. Yeah.
15.
I think
How does Auburn keep theirs clean?
Fountains help.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of each one.
Moving the water helps.
Yeah, that water is just so stagnant. It does not move and it's, I don't know. I don't remember.
Some of
being
it
a
has to
problem.
do with depths.
Say that again?
Some of it has to do with how deep the lakes are.
Well, they cut those out at McDonald's a couple of years ago, so they're deeper now, but algae just keeps.
Our fountain's crazy expensive.
For the ones that really do the job, yeah, I mean. you
Getting the
got to the one
power,
that's got-
getting the power out there is expensive.
Yeah.
Basically, fountains don't work very well. You could do some infusion down, they put air hoses down the bottom and blow it from the bottom up, which bubblers, I suppose you'd want to call them, but that helps somewhat. I mean, basically, when you get that, you gotta try to get more air in there. So
He's not going to put in our budget.
The fish tank.
I don't know. I mean, what's your opinion? What do you, at this point, what do we do to fix it?
I would
I've honestly never had this issue anywhere I've ever been.
have him research. We used to use copper sulfate in them to knock it out, and there is some algicides, but when you do that research, you got to make sure that if it passes on out of that lake on down to your irrigation lake, that it's not something that's
Right.
noxious to what you're trying to do. You don't want to pump that. So
Scary part, if we put something in there, then we spray it up on our greens and kill the grass.
yeah,
You say you want it environmentally friendly too.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Somebody DEPA on their golf course.
Aerators or whatever. Yeah, I guess.
We'd looked at, I don't know how effective it would be. One, I think you would have to get it clean first, but some solar power. There's like a solar panel that sits on the bank and powers the fountain. So
Mhm.
might look at some of those next year. Yeah, I don't know. This is a new problem for me. I've done this a long time, but I've never had ponds do that.
Yeah.
Not to that extent.
Didn't you say they tried carp at Tex and it really didn't help?
Yeah, well, I got some koi and some different carp and I mean, it helped a little bit, but it's not.
when you get those kind of ponds, you lose them they go down the pond when you get to your floods.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's because of the street contamination, you get those wash off the streets, you getting oil, you getting all kinds of
Man, we
contaminants.
get so much trash that comes
Yeah,
down.
I mean, it's terrible.
We get that whole neighborhood's trash ends up at that golf course.
That's definitely a problem.
We'll build a dome. So
Okay, moving on. We got the project update, which we kind of already gone through all that. That.
Cart simulator clubhouses.
but the hitting cages for Sim.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about
Waiting
this.
on, so Max,
Coder just mentioned it to me today.
yeah. There's a gentleman, his Max, something I can tell you real quick. He done that kind of work forever, so we went over kind of the dimensions. I sent everything to him. I'm waiting on him to give me a quote back on what that would cost. There was 2 companies I found online, and for 2 weeks, I've emailed, called, and not gotten any type of response. One of them, you click on their website and it takes you to where you can fill out a message and send it to them that way. I've not gotten a response back.
I don't think you want to do business there.
No, I don't, yeah, exactly.
Between 1 and 10, right? The grass behind the clubhouse.
Max Wheelhouse. You know, he plays with Doug Oder all the time. Anyway, he was, hopefully he's gonna get back to me with a quote. We can go from there. Yeah, no, unfortunately, no positive news on that. I've gotten nowhere with that. You'd think that would be easy. And if you guys have any suggestions on a company to use, but I just, in my head, I'm like, yeah, it won't be a big deal. And then when I started to actually call somebody, I didn't know how to look that up. How do you find one that
You found some, you showed me the pictures, like I'm gonna order these and
can get a response?
get them to talk to you. They don't want our money.
I wouldn't.
Hopefully, next couple of days, I'll get a response from him and it'll be good and we can go forward.
Doesn't seem like it'd be that difficult.
I thought about someone that builds batting cages, maybe.
Yeah.
Find a company that does that. I don't.
I'll prefab now.
Yeah.
I dealt with that. You just order them and build them yourself.
Oh,
I can order you a batting cage tomorrow.
Yeah.
sound like you signed up for it, didn't it?
I hear what you're saying. Let me put you down.
I leave town tomorrow morning.
We don't need them until next week.
Busy. Oh, wait, I've got the account.
Yeah, I think for projects, we're just same projects. We're just getting farther along in the process.
You want to go, Kevin, or do you want to bring up that replacing the other board member, delete them or?
Yeah, I'm gonna work with me. He's had no response and no, no response to anything I've sent him. So I'm gonna work with Nate tomorrow. There's a process the city has to remove someone from a board. Once we go through that, then we'll work on finding a replacement. So.
It's easy. Evan, pull the name out. Just rip
I don't think we have to make a motion or anything for that. It's just,
No, I talked to him about it.
What is the process if one of us wants to be done? How do we get replaced?
You're stuck.
it. You didn't read your contract, did you? Till death do us part.
I'll be honest, I would have to get with legal and see what that looks like to make it
Just
official.
curious, because I wasn't really sure even how I got here, but
Don't worry about that. You're here. That's all that matters.
it did.
just get an earlier tea time.
I guess so. I didn't pick this one, I tell you.
Well,
All right.
Now you're a liaison. Like, you just bumped up. to
No, I got a promotion, right?
Food and beverage up
Or
there.
something.
Kevin,
Um,
can you go up here so they can hear it home?
like I'm quiet. Never been accused of being quiet.
Okay, so Sam, as Mike will tell you, I was there all day playing in the kitchen. I think I figured that oven out. After I called technical support, get some stuff to get the temperatures I wanted, but I started. Basically, you program the oven for each item. So Jesse's used one before, but he never programmed it. So once I've got it programmed and set, they will put together, I made some pizzas today, for instance. They build the pizza, which takes 30 seconds. You throw it in the oven, hit one button, and 4 minutes later, your pizza's ready. And there was a couple guys standing at the counter, and I said, will you be my guinea pigs? And they loved it and took the plate with them after the first heat. So I'm leaving town tomorrow, but early next week, I will finish up everything as far as the recipes go. And then probably next weekend, we will have a meeting after close at Sim and train everybody, and their menu should be up and running that following Monday. So they'll have theirs going. Then the next one we're gonna do is text, because I need to get it. We gotta convert the kitchen, but we want to get that running for winter, for simulator season, because that'll be the one course that has people going through there. And unlike golf, where you're out there for 4 hours, you're gonna be right there for 4 hours in the clubhouse. They're gonna eat and drink more. So we want to make sure that's ready for that. Auburn's, I actually hired a cook. We'll see if she completes the paperwork and comes on board.
Shows up on the first day.
Shows up on the first day.
You laughed. Big problem.
We can do with the kitchen they have, we can do more stuff using the equipment they have. We'll just, later on, probably over the winter, we'll get that oven in. I've got to move a few things around. I'm sure besides Randy, none of you have been back there, but it's pretty, there's not a lot of room in that kitchen. It's kitchen for one. So we should have theirs up and rolling, but that'll help a lot too with the banquets and stuff, because I've been doing all the cooking for those. Nice catch, Darius. And then the last one will be Mac over the winter. That's for those of you that I know Robert's at Mac a lot. The coolers that have the beer and the sodas back there, they built that island in the middle after they put those in. I can't even get them out of there. I was gonna move them out for temporary so we can kind of have concessions running. We're doing this changeover. No can do. So hopefully they don't break down either, because there's no way to get them out of there until
Plans to break down that island?
His plans. Pardon?
Any plans to break down that island?
The island's going away. So, but that's a big task, and everything on that back wall, that cabinet is all going away. So I have the new design, and it's all gonna be standalone equipment. So once I get it gutted, then I can start build back better. Ooh, bad. So I can, sorry. It just popped in my head. Jesse shaking his head and rolls eyes at me. So that's kind of the general plan, but Sim should be up and running soon, and then I can probably, if she gets her stuff done and gets in, we can go ahead and start doing some stuff there and doing breakfast and lunch items. But they have a grill. It's not the best piece of equipment ever, because it's not thermostat controlled, so the temperature kind of you put stuff on the grill, the temperature drops, so we're not getting even cooking time, but I can work with somebody and teach them. They have ovens, they have grill. They're the only ones with a fryer, they're the only ones that'll ever have a fryer because they have a hood. We will not be doing hoods there. $10,000 linear foot for a restaurant hood. And most restaurants have about 12 feet. So it's $120,000 for a hood. So, yeah, that's just to purchase it. That's not installed.
Never make your money back.
Oh, yeah, they are. And engineers have to design them for you too. It's crazy. So that's where we're at. But once we get that menu rolled out soon, please come by and try it. Like I said, I've got most of the stuff pretty well down. And it's just been a lot of make one, try it, make one, try it. He's trying until I get the temperatures right. There is stuff online from the manufacturer, but unfortunately they are from England. So there's a lot of recipes that were pre-done in there that I'm not gonna be making scones and lunch sausage. There was recipes for stuff like that, so. Questions?
When we meet in Auburn next month, we're gonna have dinner there, right?
Not a chance. Actually, 2 days after that, we have the Evergy retirees for 160 people plated and served. Because I was told they cannot do a buffet line.
So we need plate runners.
Volunteers. We need plate runners to serve 160 people
Look
in
out.
under 45 minutes.
I'll start looking at our shoes.
Nice shoes.
Well, 6 o'clock.
We're gonna bed them all with 60 people.
Oh, you got 4 minutes, perfect.
Yeah, good. Anybody have any other business they would like to conduct today?
Motion to adjourn.
Can I second?
No.
But we will.
I'll second.
All right.
All in favor, say aye.
Out of here.
Aye.
I'm gone for 5 days. You all have a great weekend.
Guys, have a good day.
Thank you, Jesse. Have a good one. Jesse.
Enjoy Arizona.
Yeah.
He's there. He needs to go to that driving.
Overruns that nobody bought. Get the hand me down.
He's right there.
Your size.
Yeah, I've written you twice. I'm a little disappointed that you haven't bothered to write back. I even acknowledged that I said, she writes back, I think she writes back. And she goes, oh, I'm so sorry. And then she said, no, maybe you could meet with me and Mike Jordan. And I said,